Or should I say good morning? Good morning and good morning. Or in text language, GM. All right, now to have your attention, my name is Seabron Reese. I've been in elementary school for 17 years now. I've been at the same school for 17 years. And small storyline, if you look at your green sheet, you can see the title. Well, there's a small storyline with that. If you've ever wondered if you could present or not, one thing that happens is send an email. Send it to Ashley, send it to Kelly Hicks. You can say what you're going to present on. And ironic enough, I said I would speak about bullying and how to talk to kids about bullying. You tell me when we're going to do it, and I'll be there, just like the Batman said. Even though I'm a superman. Lo and behold, it showed up right on the screen, so I'm like, oh, that's the title? Okay, we'll take it as that. All right, so, getting into it, when you talk to your kids about bullying, there's one thing that you have to have. You have to have that it factor. Some people have it, most people don't. And when you're talking to your kids, you know your kids in your school, you know the culture that you have. Not everyone can have the same cookie cutter print on talking about bullying, because what happens in bullying in one school is different in another school. And so you also have to know the type of parents you're dealing with and teachers you're dealing with, because we are in 2022 where you can't even speak about who you're going for or voting for without some type of issue. And being upfront with it, you may come across some type of issue as well. But I'm very upfront with you. I can tell you who I'm going for. And at any point in time, Batman would never beat Superman in a battle. Keep that in mind. All right. So I would love to assume that if we are PE coaches, we've received some type of degree from school, which involves us being able to read effectively. And one of my pet peeves is when you have someone that gives a presentation and they sit here and read off of the screen as if you couldn't read yourself. So I won't insult your intelligence because you've gone to school forever, and I can present while you read. Make sense? So, in our world, we actually talk about bullies. We always focus on the bully portion of bullies, and we always try to give some type of definition. They give us the legal definition that's on all of the websites and all of the specific things. But then you have the adult way of speaking about bullies. But then kids don't understand our adult language. Remember, we're old to them. So certain things that we speak on, it goes over their head. But if you ask a kid, what is a bully? They'll give you this definition. It's the same thing, different wording. And when you're speaking to your kids about bullying and definitions of bullying, if you can speak in their language, you have their attention. If you sound like an adult talking to another adult, you don't have their attention, and then they start to actually not pay attention and do other things. Of course, we have all the different types of bullying, and now in 2022, we have the cyberbullying. In our time, that was not the case. Even if you came up in a time when you had the AOL CD and you had to stick it in, that still was not a part of cyberbullying, but now we have these different types. It was just, you see a kid, you knock your stuff down, you pick on them, etc., etc. Well, we have all of this stuff here, and it tells you what it is and what it isn't, but in reality, kids do not want to hear about that. They don't. So transferring it from them to a kid is a different thing. Now, here's a reality check. I'm intrigued. What's the name of the bully that you had growing up? Anybody? Raise your hand. Who's yours? James. recognize them on TV, but you know the name of your bully. And that may have been plenty in your life. Give me one more. Give me one.
Your loyal family.
Family?
Yeah, the whole family.
The whole family. That lets you know some things, yeah? Starting to generate something in your childhood. Mine was Harold. I knew this dude named Harold. He was a bully. And he was mine. I know him if I ever saw him again in another store. Give me one more. One more. All the way in the back. Russell Rainer. You know these people by full name. It doesn't matter how old you are. You know that they're still around there with your bully, and there it is. If you ask the kids, because if they're in elementary, middle, or high school, who their bully was or is, they can name it for you. But it's one thing that we fail to miss. We focus on the person, but in reality, bully is not a person. You're not born with the genetic traits of being a bully. It's a personality. And when it's a personality, it can become anyone. Okay, I have something. Have you ever come across somebody who was being bullied? You tried to be their friend because you felt sorry for them. And in turn, they turn and bully you? Yeah, I see some head shaking, yes. At any point in time, bullying can jump from one person to another. It transcends all aspects of life. You can become an adult, and you've seen this in your own school. There are some teachers who still get bullied, and they aren't getting bullied just by the administration. They're being bullied by kids. And you would think that, you should be old enough to transcend the age of being bullied. No, it just jumps from one person to another. It goes into your own household, it goes into other places, and bullying can be anything. You, at one point, could possibly be a bully. Now, as you're talking to your kids about being bullied and bullying, this is where you break the fourth wall. You turn to them. This has happened in my school, say. So, every class, every school has a bully. Point to the bully. And if you wait patiently, you'll see the kids go. You'll see multiple fingers pointing to one or maybe two people, maybe even 3 or 4. But of course, when you see those fingers pointing, that lets you know there is bullying going on. And of course, that person that's getting the finger pointed to them, they may not even recognize that they are bullied. Some of them know, and they take it wholeheartedly, but others don't. And they're like, why are you pointing the finger at me? It's partly because it's not about what the bully does or says. It's about what the victim feels. If I feel you've done something wrong to me, and you've consistently done it wrong to me, well then you are my bully. You may be the coolest kid in the school. You may be the nicest kid in the school. But based on what you've done to me, I believe you're a bully. So when it's time to point out the bully, I'm pointing at you. You have plenty of them that just, I'm just playing. We just play around. Well, no, sometimes you play too much. There are certain points in time where it's a fine line between playing around and you bully. You have to decide where you are in the line. You have what's known as displaced aggression. As we say, some bullies don't recognize their bullies. Now, on the screen you will see what a bully has to deal with and what a non-bully has to deal with. Some of them run parallel and some of them run the back end. You have plenty of bullies who are just taking out their frustration on other people because, they were abused in their house. They couldn't meet up the expectations that was needed in their house or at school. They don't know how to read, and because everyone's doing better than them, well, I gotta take it out some way. Or I'm not good athletically like Jeff is, and he beat me in the basketball game, but I wasn't really good at basketball, but if I beat him up, then I still win. And so, things of that nature come. Understanding that if you have to display your aggression to someone else, someone has to receive that energy. And when you receive that energy, you have your non-bullies who typically, they don't pass that energy on to someone else. In many cases, they'll swallow it, or they'll take it, and because they take it, it's a nice little vortex for the other bully to feel good at going at that person. Because we know in bully world, if I can make you feel bad, and I see it on you, then I feel good. I always relate bullies to dogs. Have you ever seen a dog sense fear? You can tell when a kid is scared, a dog will. But when a dog sees that a person is not afraid of him, they don't display that same tenacity. They might even just go up there and hop on you and lick you and be all joints. Well, bullies are the same way. They can't recognize confidence when they see it. They recognize fear when they see it. And if they can find a person that has fear within them that they can attack, well, they'll aim for that person. But when it's another story, it's a different thing. Here's a video. You fast forward to 2022, as we can see, bullies online versus bullies in real life. Understand that our kids now are on the cyber action. They are in our social media environment, and you find new types of bullies in that world, where your fingers can type anything, but in real life, it's another story. Here's one more, because people like to do their bully thing when they're around friends. You'll find that in many cases, people tend to do things when they're around their friends, but when they're by themselves, it's another story. How many times have you actually seen two kids act like they want to fight, and they're really into it, and they're like, man, let me get at him. And it's only because you're holding them back, but if you let them go, they're not exhibiting that same type of excitement that they want to fight as they did before. Same process goes on for them. Now, in our world, we always tend to focus on the bully. But in reality, we need to focus on the ones who feel like they're being bullied. Because it's an internal ordeal. Remember, bully is a personality, not a person. So if you cannot overcome that personality, they will always show up in your life. It doesn't matter how many schools you transfer to, that bully is sitting there waiting for you. It's like, you know that one bad kid that shows up in your class every single day? He has perfect attendance. All the good kids are missing. Sometimes they transfer schools, but that one bad kid that gets on your nerves, he shows up every single day. Never sick. And if he is sick, he's still showing up. He's waiting for you. That personality. It's just like that, what is it? It's the movie guy, the killer in the movies. He's always chasing you. And if you don't literally see him die on screen, he always pops back up. He shows up in another sequel. Yes, that personality right there. If you don't overcome it, they will be waiting for you. And it's not just only in school, but if you go to another sporting agency, you go to another team, there's a bully waiting for you there. You go to college, they're waiting for you there. You go to your job, they're waiting for you there. It comes in different formats. It may not be the same person, it may not be the same entity, but it's still that same personality waiting for you. And when it comes to our kids, adults can't save you every time. There will be moments where adults are not around. Of course, we as teachers, we are trained to actually try to recognize bullying when it happens, or recognize overaggression when it happens, and try to actually minimize it, or try to get it to cease. But we can't be everywhere. There are moments in time where you are not watching, and they're going to have to defend for themselves. They have to stand up for themselves. Confidence is one of the main characteristics that you need to overcome bullies. Now, there are ways to increase your confidence, and this is one of the things that we have to focus on. You may find that some of those same kids are, I can't do this, and I'm never good at anything, or they've always been beat down verbally by others or even people in their own family. But there are ways to increase that confidence. We as adults, we have come over time to discover our gift. Everyone has a gift. And when you're good at it, you get attention from others. You get the recognition from it. And when you realize that you're starting to be good at something, your confidence increases. It's just as if you were doing push-ups. You're scared to do push-ups at first, you can only do 2. But the more you practice, the more you do, and before you know it, you're doing 40 at a time. And you're out doing others that are around you. When you recognize that, the confidence goes up. Same thing happens in our world. When you get confident, you show it, you display it. Others recognize it. This is what we need to impart into some of our students. When it gets to a point where a kid has had enough, they're starting to think about what they can do. And when it comes to it, the analysis happens. Many people who are getting bullied would love to strike back at a bully, say something or do something to a bully to get them to stop. But we, as adults, we are the ones that they fear. But what if I get into trouble? I don't want to get into trouble. But when you start getting bullied and bullied and bullied, eventually they start to decipher. Okay, if I get in trouble, how much trouble will I get into? Is it worth me getting in trouble of maybe getting suspended versus hitting this dude in the face and he never messes with me again? What's the trade-off? Or getting my friends to speak up for me or me speaking up for someone else? What is it? So when you actually analyze it and you get to this point, they're on their way. Bill Russell, for those who are in the 60s and 70s, if you're my age, you probably don't know who this person is, you never saw them in real life. But he was an 11-time NBA champion. And this was his storyline. He would get beat up often. And at one point in time, his mom was the person who stuck up for him in a way that was different from others. So, instead of just reading everything, I'll paraphrase it for you. 5 kids were messing with him, bullying him. His mom found out. She really got him and met him with the 5 kids and said, you're going to fight every last one of them. He won some, he lost some. But in the end, he was able to get his respect. And the mom set him up to get respect from those others. And because of that, his confidence grew. His confidence grew to the point where he made it to the NBA and actually won titles based on the very same story that he had against those bullies. Knowing your kids, you have stories. When your kids listen to you, they don't want to hear you just talk and talk and talk. They want stories. I have a story here for you. These 2 here. The one on the left, that's Antonio. The one on the right, that's Eric. They both came across the same book. In our school, we run laps. And there was this one dude named Beltran. He was always bullying everyone. Antonio, nice sized kid, but Eric, it was the biggest kindergartner in the whole school. He was bigger than most third graders. No confidence. The bully was half his size. One day, he came to me saying, "Coach, he keeps bullying me. He keeps bullying me." Of course, we can't just say anything over and over again, so I told him one line. There will come a time where you'll get tired of it and you'll do something. In our world, we impart things and we try to plant seeds, and we never actually get to see the seed grow. Well, I was able to see it in this way. One day they were running the lab and they went to the water fountain. Dude was the last one at the water fountain, but the bully came to him and pushed him out of the way. So they're up there pushing each other. Like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And as he's pushing away, he hits him in the nose. Hits the bully in the nose. The bully starts crying. What does the bully do? Comes straight to me. And I said, "Look, you've been messing with this boy for 2-3 months now. I told you he was tired of you. He was going to be messing with you. He was going to, ooh, go over there and sit down." Now, the person being bullied, which is Eric, the moment he saw him cry, you could see his face light up. What? I just made the bully cry? He's been bullying me all this time, and I made him cry? You can see it in his face. Eric, come here. So I called him over to me. And of course, that debate they had earlier, he's thinking about getting in trouble. So he's get in trouble. I gave him one quick line. Say, "Hey, it felt good, didn't it?" Oh, did his face light up. The moment I said that to him, his confidence grew exponentially. And from then on, he was never ever bullied by the same boy. Matter of fact, he came back the very next day and started bullying the bully. He started pushing him around. The other boy says, "Man, leave me alone." And I had to actually tailor him. I'm like, hey, just 24 hours ago, you were the one being bullied. Now you're the one doing the bullying. I see your confidence has grown significantly, but you're going to have to know the difference between when you have to do something and not do something. You got to argue, just leave it alone. And he understood it. Meanwhile, Antonio, the one on the left, he already had his confidence. He was already there. And so when that bully came to him 3 months earlier, he pushed him up off him. He was like, "Man, get off me, leave me alone." Well, that bully never messed with him again. So it's one of those things where the trade-off is there. You have to decipher, am I going to get in trouble? How much trouble am I going to get into? But if this person never messes with me again, it's one of those trade-offs that I'm willing to take. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to take. Now, I took this story and I would speak on it often. And it began this person right here. His name is Brian. In kindergarten, he was being bullied by somebody. And he actually was able to tell his story in the midst of all of us in class about his storyline, how he overcame a bully. Objective was the same boy that he was messing with him in the bathroom. He got so fed up that he snatched the necklace off his neck and slammed it on the ground and broke it. The same bully was crying. It was significant because the person he was talking about was sitting right next to him and was able to point him out and say, "He was the bully right here, and he was messing with me." Now, in our world, we never come across that moment where we confront our bullies and we talk about our bullies and he's right there next to us. That usually doesn't happen. We like to talk about it behind their backs. But for this person, he was bold enough and confident enough to actually speak about his story right there with the person next to him. Lo and behold, it was very fitting for others in the class to understand that, okay, if he can do it, I can do it too. I asked the boy, I said, "Have you ever messed with him ever since?" He said, "No." And that was one of those moments where he experienced growth in his own confidence. Now, I want to conclude with this storyline. When you're good at something and you get your confidence and you confront someone, and the moment that you can see that your confidence grows beyond measure, it may beget your own professional career. There's a person I'm going to show you in the next clip that actually experienced that. You may know his storyline when you see him. He became very musically inclined and used his music to overcome his bullying. If you know the words, just hum it in your head.
DJ, kick that.
Everybody from the 313, put your mother hands up and follow me. Everybody from the 313, put your mother hands up. Look, look. Now while he stands tough, notice that this man did not have his hands up. This free world's got you gassed up. Now who's afraid of the big bad wolf? 1, 2, 3 into the 4. 1 pop, 2 pop, 3 pop, 4. 4 pop, 3 pop, 2 pop, 1. Your pop, he's pop, no pop, none. This guy ain't no motherfucking MC. I know everything he's got to say against me. I am white, I am a fucking bum. I do live in a trailer with my mom. My boy Future is an Uncle Tom. I do got a dumb friend named Cheddar Bob who shoots himself in his leg with his own gun. I did get jumped by all 6 of you chumps. And we did my girl. I'm still standing here screaming fucking free world. You'll never try to judge me, dude. You don't know what the I've been through, but I know something about you. You went to Cranbrook, that's a private school. What's the matter, dog? You embarrassed? This guy's a gangster? His real name's Clarence. And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This guy don't want to battle. He's shook. There ain't no such things as hot plate crooks. He's scared to death. He's scared to look at his yearbook. Cranbrook. Fuck the beat. I go a cappella. A Papa Doc, a clock, a trailer, everybody. Y'all if you doubt me. I'm a piece of white trash, I say it proudly. And fuck this battle, I don't want to win, I'm outie. Here, tell these people something they don't know about me.
And if you know who he is, well, this was an actual portion of his life. So people were bullying him all this time, and it got to this point where he realized that he had a gift. He was able to use the gift. He confronted his bully. Now, we don't ever get to see where it actually blossoms, but in this area it does. And so, as you can see, the bully's face is a little different. He has the acceptance of his good friends on the side. He has confidence of the people that believed in him. And from this moment on, well, we know the end results of his life. So, at that moment, right there, is when you realize that the bully has been defeated. Confidence goes up, and of course he goes to sell millions upon millions of records in real life. So, in conclusion, confidence is the biggest thing we need to impart on all of our students. If you're confident, you don't have to worry about bullying someone. If you're confident, you don't have to worry about being bullied. You do you. Grow within you. Because you don't want to become a 35-year-old person wishing that you can confront your bully with the confidence you have now, wishing you had it back then. With that being said, thank you for paying attention.